Welcome back to the Safe House. Been a while since I made a video. It's been, I've had a lot going on. I got my little guy here. You can see him in the corner there running wild. But there's a couple of things. I'm going to wait to title this video until afterwards to see what it is I actually talk about. There's a few things that I want to try to touch on. And one, I haven't talked at all about Charlie Kirk. I've not made a video since the horrible tragedy occurred. I listen to Charlie Kirk quite a bit in like YouTube shorts or TikTok or Instagram, stuff like that. I agreed with a lot of what he said. I admired him for creating a platform for debate in these, certain issues that have a certain stigmatism attached to him. You can't talk about him. Well, he, I think, courageously dove into that, and I have to admire him for that. But this Tyler Robinson shooter gig, I have to say, it is mind-blowing the amount of traffic out there on social media and YouTube when it comes to this Charlie Kirk shooting. And different theories, conspiracy theories. I expected a response like this when Trump was almost assassinated in Butler, Pennsylvania. Fair enough, the difference is Charlie Kirk was assassinated and Trump was not. Nonetheless, I really, really expected all kinds of conspiracy theories flooding social media and the internet, YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, all of it. And really, there's not a whole lot. Of course, people have their theories. Of course, people realize that the, official narrative is really quite ridiculous. But what we're seeing with Charlie Kirk, man, this is really unprecedented. I don't know what else to say. Candace Owens has, I think, touched on some very, very, real questions that people have. And I will say one thing that, and we'll see if this, surfaces as a theory. It's really just an idea. It's not even, I don't really even have, a bunch of information to like back it up or anything. But we have heard about Tyler Robinson's alleged lover, another young man close to his age, I'm not sure. Twiggs, Lance Twiggs, right? Do I have that right? Lance Twiggs. And evidently he has disappeared. He's disappeared. Now, it's hard to say what that means or where he really is. Again, with all of the, with everything that you hear and see on the internet and social media about this, it's really hard to it's hard to know if and when you are getting accurate information. So, one theory I've not heard yet is, what if Lance Twiggs was working for somebody else? What if Lance Twiggs was like a handler to Tyler, but Tyler didn't realize, what was going on? Maybe Lance Twiggs used Tyler to assassinate Charlie Kirk, convinced him, manipulated him, persuaded him, and however he would do that. But here's another thing, evidently they are going to not allow cameras in the court proceedings, which I think is ridiculous. Possibly a little telling. Hard to say, but I can tell you right now that if the official story truly is that Tyler Robinson, after having taken the shot, ran with his Mauser 30-06 across that roof and jumped down and then disappeared into some trees, that's ridiculous. And if that is the case, why start the video just a few seconds after the shot was taken? Why not show him in the prone position, or, you know, the laying down position, and shooting Charlie Kirk, and then doing whatever he supposedly did with this large weapon, at least 38 inches long, assembled? Why not show that? You know, so yeah, I think that I think it's possible that, you know, the idea that just somebody that's truly offended by Charlie Kirk's message and what he stands for sees an opportunity to shoot him at a public event in public space. Of course that's possible. Of course that's possible. I've said it before. There are all kinds of people, particularly in that age group, who are capable of committing suicide. If somebody's capable of committing suicide, couldn't they be capable of killing somebody else? Not to say that somebody that is suicidal is homicidal. Could be entirely different emotions involved there. But possible that those, you know, that somebody could be capable of taking another person's life, particularly high profile like this. I had just, a few months prior to this happening, I can remember watching these debates. It might have even been Charlie Kirk. It was just a quick thought. But I was like, man, somebody could really, you know, at one of these college campuses or one of these public events, you know, where they create a platform for debate, that could really go bad. You know, somebody could really use that as an opportunity to do something like this, you know. It was just a quick thought. I have a lot of them, but I am really curious as to why we didn't hear so many different theories about the Trump shooting. It's almost like it is being intentionally convoluted with all kinds of nonsense. You know, it's like the technique or tactic of taking somebody's truth, you know, a conspiracy truth, say 9/11, and then taking a small piece of truth and attaching a bunch of really outlandish claims to it to discredit the whole thing. It's like, yeah, 9/11 was a conspiracy. The planes that flew into the tower were not the cause of them to come down, which I believe, right? But the planes were actually holograms, and they weren't actually there. And, you know, there's all kinds of wild stuff out there. And it can be and sometimes is used just to discredit the entire story. And that's one of the problems with the general public, is that they aren't able to look at things individually and objectively. What one person might be saying. For instance, Nick Fuentes, right? Very controversial. It's not even allowed on YouTube anymore right now. While other people are commentating to his videos that he puts out on YouTube, which is genius. I might do it. But, you know, he says some really radical things, and then all of a sudden people just shut off and they won't hear anything else that he has to say. And he's actually a very bright young man and has some very interesting things to say. Do I have to agree with everything he says? No. I don't believe Nick Fuentes, though accused of being a racist, I don't think I've seen the racist part of Nick Fuentes. Could he be? I guess possibly, you know, show me something that he says and that is racist, and we'll go from there, you know. But that's what happens, is people paint him. They hear he's this racist. They hear him say a couple radical things, or maybe not even so radical, but uncommon, things that people don't commonly talk about because of the stigma, because they don't want to be judged, because they're worried about the cancel culture, and they just shut them off. And that's we need to be willing to listen a little bit more, I think, to get out of this rut that society seems to be in right now. We're adjusting to social media, new politics. It's a collision of new ideas, technology, ideologies, politics, and in order to make it through this, I think we need to listen a little bit more. Stop arguing so much. Be willing to listen to something that maybe is different from what you think, from what you believe, and sit on it a little bit and think about it objectively. Think about it. Try to remove some emotions from it, and think about things. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Lance Twiggs, potentially some kind of agent for, like the Mossad. Like, subscribe, comment below.